In this tutorial, we're going to show you a couple of techniques that you can use to apply pavers to your image editor project. Now, the first technique that we're going to use uses the EZScape Paver tool. So let's go ahead and click on that. And we get a dialog box to select the tool type. I want to go ahead and use the Pattern Tile Polygon tool, and I'll click OK. Now I need to select the paver pattern that I want to use here. Now I get a polygon cursor, and what I need to do is just go around and trace around the area to place the pavers. Okay, I want to go ahead and include the sidewalk here, so I'll make sure I click around it, and then I'll go around the bottom, and over to the left, and then up the left side, and then I'll right click to set that down. Okay, now what we need to do is to scale the pattern. To scale the pattern, we select it and we press the up-down arrows on the keyboard, and that will allow us to change the scale of that pattern. Okay, now that it's scaled, I can add perspective to the pattern. And first what we need to do here is we need to use our scroll mouse and scroll out so that it's a fairly large canvas. Now these yellow points here on the corners, these are my perspective editing tools. So if I grab that, you'll notice that it starts to change the perspective of that pattern. Now if we hold down on the control key, you'll notice both the left and the right points, they adjust outward at an equal distance. Okay, now if I release my control key, I can also go in and I can adjust those individually so that it changes the skew of that pattern. Okay, so let's go ahead and leave that right there, and I'm going to zoom back in using my Zoom Fit tool. Okay, now if I need to make any adjustments here, I can simply select these green points and make my adjustments to my pattern. Okay, also I still have the opportunity to use the up-down arrows on the keyboard to change that pattern. There we go. Okay, so that's the first technique. Let's go ahead and delete that out, and we'll show you the second technique. With the next technique, we'll use the Paver tab in the Content Explorer, and we'll need to select Paver Patterns, and we need to select the paver pattern we want to use here. Okay, and we'll drag it up to the screen. Now I'll right click on it and we'll select Perspective Edit. Now the upper points here, what I want to do is to drag those down to the upper portion of the area where we're going to be placing the pavers. Okay, now let's go ahead and zoom back out to get more canvas here. And the lower points, I'm going to pull those way out. I need to make sure that I pull that out so that it covers up the sidewalk completely. And then I'm going to grab the left point there, the lower left point, and pull it down. And it's important here to keep the lower points equally down. So we want to make sure that this lower line is level. Okay. Now let's go ahead and scale it. So to scale it, what we want to do is click away and then click back to the pattern. Now when we do that, we can go over to the Properties tab in the Workspace, and where it says Scale under the Perspective mode, we can move the scale up over to the right to change the scale. Okay, now with this technique, we also get a perspective mode. We can use the near perspective mode or the far perspective mode. Let's go ahead and zoom in with our Zoom Fit tool. Okay, now if currently I have the near perspective mode, you'll notice that the bricks on the lower portion are very close to the same size on the one of the bricks on the upper portion. If I select the far mode, it makes the bricks down on the bottom much larger than the ones up here on the top. So use whichever mode works for you best. Now that I have the perspective added to that and it's scaled, what we need to do is mask it. So if I right click on the pattern, I can go down to Pattern, Polygon, and Mask, And what that does is it makes my image semi-transparent. I just want to go in and I'm going to click around here to mask it out. We're going to expose some of it and we're going to hide other parts. So I'm going to click around that sidewalk to expose it, and then down to the street, and then over to the left corner and up. And when I'm done, I right click, and now it's finished.